Hey everybody! Tonight I want to talk to you guys about everything I read in December and all of the books that I plan to read, am currently reading, or have already read in January. So as you can tell, it's mid-January by now. It is January 13th, late in the evening while I'm recording this. Typically I put this video out much earlier in the month, but because of sickness and some traveling that I was able to do this month, it just hasn't happened. So I almost just did not record this video and say, well, we'll just skip it this month. But I decided in the end that it would bother me if I didn't. So I'm going to do this a much more stripped down and hopefully quicker version. I've got no makeup on. Like I said, it's late in the evening. And I'm hoping I can show you what I read and kind of keep a record for myself. And we'll do better next month at doing this on time. In the month of December, I read 8 books, and overall it was a very solid month of reading. I had a ton of fun. One book I read was Joyland by Stephen King, and I really liked it. I figured I would like it because I've heard good things about it, and I've liked all of the hard case crime novels, but this one is my favorite easily of the 3 that I've read because it felt like classic Stephen King. All that comfortable, nostalgic, just classic Stephen King that we love so much, but in a much smaller, more compact packaging. And it fit in perfect. I needed something that was a break from fantasy. I needed something a little bit shorter, and this was exactly what I was looking for. So please check this out if you haven't already read it. And if you have read it, I want to talk to somebody about it. I haven't come across anybody who has read it yet. So let me know, because I want to talk with somebody about this, because I thought it was a great story. Another book I read was Age of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. This is book 2 of Legends of the First Empire. And I really liked the first book, but this one, I really loved it. This had an amazing animal companion. It spent a lot of time with the dwarfs, and I am always a huge sucker for any type of dwarf character. And this just took the story to a whole nother level, which I'm used to expecting from Michael J. Sullivan, because he always takes something that feels manageable and quaint and fun, and then manages to grow it to a really impressive big story with a lot of scope. And that's already happening in book 2 in this story, and I'm very excited to keep reading these because I love them. Okay, I read Son of the Black Sword by Larry Correia. This is a book that has been recommended to me for quite a while by my friend Brent, and I finally had an opening that made sense for it, and I'm so glad I said yes and read this. I really liked it, and it's a trilogy. I see myself making priority time for the other 2 so I can finish it up sooner rather than later, because I really liked it, and I can't wait to talk more about it, hopefully in a video where I have a little more time, because this is something that I don't understand why it's not wildly popular within the fantasy book world, because it has something for everybody, and I thought it was super good. So I can't wait to talk more about this one. You guys are going to love it. I read Godblind by Anna Stevens, and this was a cool book. This is also a trilogy. I plan to wrap that one up pretty quickly as well, because I liked it and I want to keep going with the story, but also I'm liking the idea of knocking out a lot of trilogies this year and not stringing things out quite as long as I did with some books. Like the next one I'm about to tell you about, that's a trilogy I managed to last all year. And I don't really want to do that this year. So I'd like to get the Godblind series finished up soon, but I really like, if you guys are looking for something that's pretty dark, really violent, like some of the most shocking things, like darkest things I've ever read are in this book, but not to the point to where it just feels unnecessary. Like, it definitely matches the tone of the story, and I'm very intrigued at where this left off, and I am excited to keep going. This is the perfect time to tell you about Assassin's Quest. So I mentioned that I'd read another trilogy that took me all year to read it, and this is the one, the Farseer trilogy. Took me the whole year. So I read the first book, Assassin's Apprentice, in January, and then I read Royal Assassin in February. I was supposed to read this in March, but instead I waited all year and read it in December. I don't have any regrets over this, though, and it taught me a good lesson about not pushing something for the sake of a read along or for the sake of my schedule if I'm not necessarily in the mood for it, because I loved this book. Like, I thought it was excellent and I enjoyed basically every moment of it. So I don't know that I would have had that same experience if I had made myself read it in March, because clearly I didn't get to it for a reason. There was something that just wasn't drawing me towards that book. And every month that it came up, I thought, oh, I really should need to finish that. But it never sounded good for some reason. I don't know why. I really liked the first 2 books, but it never sounded like something I wanted to read. And it does have a reputation of being one of the weaker, what does she call this? Realm of the Elderlings. Her world that she writes. It has a reputation for being one of the weaker few. A lot of people think it's really slow. And it's true, it's not super action-packed, but I didn't find it to be slow or boring. Like I said, I think I was just in the perfect mood to start it right when I did. And so I really, really liked it. I cannot wait to keep reading more Robin Hobb. And like I said, it did teach me a lesson that don't force yourself to read something that you don't want to read if you're not in the mood for it, because I could have had a totally different experience with this, and it could have left me on a sour note with Robin Hobb, but I just never let myself read it when I wasn't in the mood for it, and because of that, I think I enjoyed it much, much more. So I'm very excited to start Live Ship Traders, probably sometime in April, I would guess. I read Reaper's Gale, and I do have bad news. I did not like Reaper's Gale, just like I honestly haven't liked any Malazan book. I mean, I did enjoy Gardens of the Moon. It was unlike anything I'd ever read before, but I was intrigued to read more. And then Dead House Gates was not a miss for me. I liked a lot about that book. But every book since then, I've become less and less interested and invested in it for some reason that I can't quite put my finger on. So I have decided, it's hard for me, but I think I'm going to DNF Malazan. I gave it a really solid try, and I don't think it's something that I want to read right now. I'm not saying I'll never finish the series or I'll never try it again, but for me right now, I'm not going to continue because I'm not enjoying myself. The last book I want to tell you about that I read in December was The Black Echo by Michael Connelly. And this is a thriller, so it's not my typical wheelhouse, but I really, really liked it. This is book 1 of the Harry Bosch series. I don't know if you guys have seen the show Bosch. I have not, but this is book 1 of that series, and I really liked it. It kind of reminded me of a Dresden Files book, but with no magic. So that was a great recommendation that I'm very glad that I acted on. As far as my December book of the month goes, it is hard to choose between the two. It would either be Son of the Black Sword, Larry Correia, or it would be Assassin's Quest. Man, they were both so good, but they were both so good for very, very different reasons. For this one, I am going to go ahead and go with Son of the Black Sword because I want to make sure I'm getting the point across that this is a strong recommendation for me, and I really hope more people read it. But it's hard to leave Hobb out of the top spot because not only was it good, but it was a pleasant surprise because I wasn't necessarily expecting to enjoy it. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to Larry Correia and the Son of the Black Sword because it just hit all the right spots and I really, really liked it and I want more people to read it. Okay, so it is already middle of January. So most of these books I'm going to show you are things I've already read or things that I definitely will read. Like, I'm not tempted by anything else. These are going to be there. I read Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. And this was another one that was a beefy boy, very, very long. But I liked it so much. Again, it has a reputation of being kind of slow and not having the most exciting plot. But I did not get that from it at all. I was definitely in the mood for some classic fantasy. And this just totally hit the spot. I thought it was lovely, but it was also really cool. And I thought it had a great pace and it had some really cool action towards the end. And I'm very excited to keep reading this series. So, yeah, loving this. Very, very happy I said yes to the read along that Mike is doing on his channel, his Discord server. And I can't wait to read the next one in February. I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And it was a lovely book. I was talking to some friends tonight on Discord, and I was like, it's hard to put my finger on what it is I like about it. I can tell you good things about it, but it's hard to articulate what makes this book so special. So it is fantasy, but it's definitely not. I mean, this takes place in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it is definitely Victorian era. And the magic is not like a wizard or elemental magic. It is magic like a magician would use magic, but it's real. This story was so whimsical. It was very, very atmospheric. It's not necessarily a plot-driven book, but it does have an interesting story. I wouldn't even call it a character-driven book, but it does have wonderful, memorable, impactful characters. But I would say the strongest point of this book is the atmosphere and her writing style. The atmosphere was just absolutely magical and captivating. And I was able to listen to this on audio as well as read along. And it was read by Jim Dale, who reads the Harry Potter audiobooks. And it was such a treat to listen to him read this story. It was just really magical all around. So I think I love this. Like, I just finished it today, and so I'm like, I liked it, but I think I loved it, honestly. I am reading Fight Club with a couple of buddies and a little read-along. We're going to do that over the next couple of weeks and just have some discussion. I read this back in high school, so this will be a reread for me, but that was a very long time ago, you guys. We picked this because it's short, it's fast-paced, it's a different genre and tone than anything else we're reading, and then we just wanted something that's fun to discuss. And this online and even in the back of the book has a lot of discussion questions that kind of go beyond what did you think, did you like it? And so we're just kind of trying something new, maybe a little book club format with a buddy read. And so we picked this one because it was one that we all had easy access to. It's really short, and it's something we're already familiar with but are interested in taking a deeper dive in. So it's as good a time as any for a little Chuck Palahniuk, right? On the 19th, I am starting The Gunslinger, which is book 1 of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. This is my most anticipated read. I'm so excited to finally start this series. Like I've said before, Stephen King is one of my very favorite authors, and the idea of him writing a long fantasy series to me is just sounds like the best thing I can imagine. So I am really, really excited to start this on the 19th with friends. It's going to be something we read. I think it's 7 or 8 books. That's kind of bad that I don't know that, I guess. But it's 7 or 8 books, and we're going to read 1 a month until we're done. And I'm so excited to do this all together and just to start something that's kind of a bucket list item for me. And then last but not least, I just started reading Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is not something I had planned on reading, but because I'm so easily influenced after listening to Mike think that it was really, really cool and something that I would enjoy, I did decide to bump this up the priority list and start it because I'm such a sucker for peer pressure. But I have only read the first couple pages, but I think it's going to be something I like, and I'm interested to read it because from what I understand, it's something different. It is fantasy, but it has a really different feel to it. So I'm excited to get to it. So sorry this video came so late in the month, but thanks for watching anyway. And please let me know if you remember anything you read in December. What was it? What was the best one, and what is going on for your January? Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.